Coming up next, it's the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime. We are going to give you a full preview of TNA's Bound for Glory pay-per-view coming up this Sunday night from Southern California. Also, we go in-depth on Sting. And also, our star of the week is Beer Money Incorporated and a very special conversation with Beer Money Incorporated exclusively right here on the Pro Wrestling Report, which starts right now.
Number one since 1998 on television, ESPN Radio, and the World Wide Web. This is the Pro Wrestling Report with your hosts, the man they call Meathead, Frank Cosentino, and Damian Nelson. Professional wrestling news, opinion, and information from fans for fans.
Welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report on Every Time Warner Cable, and well, you should. When I said ready, 45
when
seconds ago.
When did you say ready?
45 seconds ago.
Let's do the show.
For 10 years, we roll black, and then we start the show.
And then I get a countdown. You go silent, and then we
go.
go.
A countdown. Have you ever heard me do a countdown?
You only been on the show 6
exactly,
months.
which means it's recent memory, recent history. Have I done a countdown?
I've never seen a countdown.
Thank you very much. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero and the man they call Meathead. The Cause is in Philadelphia. It's in the city of brotherly love. And this week, it is all about TNA Bound for Glory, coming up this Sunday on pay-per-view from the Brent Event Center at the University of University of California. It's going to go ahead and be in Irvine, California. That is Sunday night. And gentlemen, we're going to go match by match and talk about the card as it has been announced. For Bound for Glory, we're also going to go in-depth on Sting. We've got an exclusive interview with Beer Money Incorporated, Robert Roode, and James Storm, and also the Versus Fantasy match pits a major star in TNA against a star of past.
A legend, would you call him?
You're on that already.
I'm already on legend.
Goldust is a legend.
Not a legend, but that's fine.
Can we do tiers of legends? Like tier 1 legend, tier 2 legend?
I think there's superstars, there's legends, and there's icons.
What Dave is referencing is...
Goldust is a legend then, because he's not an icon.
A little bit of a disagreement we had on this past Tuesday's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. But gentlemen, TNA Bound for Glory. This Sunday night on pay-per-view, in case you haven't gotten that point yet. Let's talk about it match by match, and several title matches are to be had at this show. First of which being for the Knockout Singles Championship. The champion ODB will defend against two competitors, Tara and Awesome Kong. This matchup sees three people who have been the champion, obviously one the current champion. Who do you think is going to go over in that match, win that match rather, Meathead, and what do you expect to see out of that matchup?
Well, I expect to see great female wrestling. Again, it's not diva wrestling, it's great female wrestling. So I expect to see...
knockout wrestling.
I expect to see Kong actually do a lot of power moves. I expect to see Tara maybe get up and do some MMA stuff. I expect ODB to get beat down for most of the match and come back and win and retain her belt.
So you expect ODB to walk out
still
the
champion.
Knockouts champion. David Hero, your thoughts on that match?
David Octavius.
You know, originally, I picked ODB to win.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much anymore. I think Awesome Kong leaves with the strap.
Why the change in position?
You know, I just think that they're going to reset the whole Knockouts division. They have so many new
Just
Knockouts
because the Divas were reset?
Well, you know, yeah, the Divas were reset, but, you know, now you have, you know, so many more Knockouts in the division. And I think Awesome Kong is the person to put the belt on right now until they figure out what they're going to do with Tara, ODB, Alyssa Flash, Hamada.
She's a future legend.
Yeah.
That's what she says.
Yes.
So two Kong.
And you chose Kong?
No. David Hero.
He said ODB.
Oh, I'm sorry. ODB,
Yeah.
sorry.
I took
Kong.
the Conger.
I am the second for Awesome Kong. Here's what I want to see out of Awesome Kong. I want to see Awesome Kong dominate the Knockouts division again. I want to see Awesome Kong be the beast, the monster, not abyss, the monster that she was when she first came in. But here's the thing, though. Awesome Kong's character has evolved somewhat since then. I'm not sure if it's helped anything. So let's go back to her just dominating the Knockouts division and instilling the fear of God into anybody she's facing, which was awesome at the time. So I would like to see Kong win that matchup.
No play on words intended, of course.
The TNA Knockouts champion. The TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championship will be on the line as well, as the earlier referenced Sarita teams with Taylor Wilde, and they go up against the Beautiful People, comprised of Velvet Sky and Taylor Wilde. Not Taylor Wilde, sorry. Velvet Sky and...
Madison Rain.
How about that?
Yes, indeed. Well, Lacey, I was trying to make sure I didn't say LVM.
Wait, LVM.
Lacey Von...
LVE.
Yeah.
Lacey Von Erich.
Where are you? Watch the product and pay attention.
You know what? I'm going to go with the Beautiful People. With outside interference from Lacey Von Erich. I'm sure she'll get her spot down right,
This time.
and it's going to be perfect.
Meathead, your thoughts?
I gotta agree, Beautiful People, almost the exact same thing, too. I think LVE, Lacey Von Erich, will get her spot, interfering in the match, causing the Beautiful People to become the new knockout
She's
tag
going to use the
champions.
claw.
I hope not.
That's her move. You know
That's
that,
her family's
you know what?
move.
That was a big discussion in TNA. Do we give Lacey the claw or do we not?
Yeah, it's her family's move.
I've never seen a knockout or a diva ever use the claw before.
But it's new. I mean,
It's
these
not
are new.
new.
These are no. I mean, it's new for a girl to do. This is a new.
Never been done before.
This is a new step that the TNA is taking with the women, the knockouts.
You know, I would have to say the Beautiful People as well. It makes some more sense for them to walk out with the titles, and I mean, you gotta look at this overall and say some titles are certainly going to change hands, and that one makes some of the most sense to change hands. So the Beautiful People is my vote in that matchup. And then the Ultimate X Championship will not be on the line, but it will be a number one contenders match to determine who will face the champion, who is right now Amazing Red. The four people in that matchup are Suicide, D'Angelo De Niro, Daniels, and Homicide. Meathead, your thoughts on that matchup?
Suicide, as the Pope would call him. And I believe on the radio show, I'm going to go ahead and stick with what I said, which was the Pope, D'Angelo De Niro. I just like what he does. I think he's over. I'm interested. You know, again, we've talked about how we DVR our wrestling shows. Even the live ones, we DVR our wrestling shows, and we scan through some stuff because, to be quite honest, they're not as entertaining as they used to be. But when TNA is on, when Impact's on, I stop for the Pope.
David Hero.
I'm going to go with Elijah Burke. I think he's ready.
I think he's been retired, and now the Pope is.
I think with the, D'Angelo De Niro, Elijah Burke, he'll go on to beat Amazing Red, keep his feud going with Suicide.
Suicide-y.
And after the first of the year, the Hood's coming off Suicide.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the benefit of that?
Because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think it's, yeah.
Now that he's spoken, it doesn't make sense.
Well, here's the thing. Do you see any Suicide masks, for sale for anyone to buy?
Or bodysuits.
Yeah, nothing. No T-shirts, any of that. Well, there is a T-shirt, but you'd think they'd sell a Suicide mask. And if they're not going to make it, then might as well take it off.
What was the purpose of the Suicide character? It was to put over the video game. Well, that video game is long gone. So.
But Suicide is one of the more popular characters in TNA.
Mm-hmm.
The kids love him. But no mask, no merchandise sales. Might as well just take it off him and start over fresh.
That's your only determining factor.
Absolutely.
That's it.
That's what it's about.
Booker Man knows.
You go with D'Angelo De Niro as well.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's a three-fer. I think D'Angelo De Niro would be a great champion, an X Division champion. But let's continue to realize that they didn't throw the belt right on him when he came in, which is something that's very good.
Even though he's still fresh in the company.
Have they had the Homicide versus Suicide match yet?
Twice. They had it at the last pay-per-view and then the Impact after.
It was one-on-one?
Yes.
See, that's how short my memory is. It's really good, just
They
very
had the
short.
Falls Count Anywhere match and then some kind of hardcore match on Impact the following week.
I thought
Both good matches.
Homicide versus Suicide.
Oh, no, that was D'Angelo De Niro versus
That's what I was
Suicide.
saying.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
There
I heard
there was
D'Angelo
a
De Niro.
Homicide versus Suicide match, though. How do you think he became champion?
I don't know. That's why I'm
That's
asking.
it. Homicide pinned
I
Suicide.
mean, but just imagine.
He cashed in on Suicide.
You're watching the match on TV, and they throw up the two names. Homicide versus Suicide.
Special guest referee Genocide.
Yeah.
We did that joke 3 months ago.
All you need is Sabu.
He is homicidal and suicidal.
Genocide.
The next matchup is the Monsters Ball match.
Speaking of Sabu.
Mick Foley will take on Abyss, It is the hardcore legend versus the facsimile, as Mick Foley calls him. This one should be good. Monsters Ball, a match we've seen at Bound for Glory for the last several years. It is the signature match of Abyss, but Mick Foley steps into the Monsters Ball this Sunday at Bound for Glory. Meathead, your thoughts?
We're going to get exactly what we think we're going to get. Mick Foley is going above what he probably should be doing right now at his age and his wrestling career. Going above what he should be doing. Abyss delivering again in his match. Remember, the thumbtacks are banned, but that doesn't mean we won't see a flaming table. We won't see tables stacked on top of each other.
A bag of VHS tapes.
Yeah, Betamax, whatever it is, reel to reel. That doesn't mean we won't see people going off the stage through tables. I mean, we're going to see something probably go across the entire arena.
I don't see the former GLCW champ taking any crazy bumps. I don't see Mick going through tables unless
Bumps. Yeah, but I'm talking.
I don't see anything crazy coming out of him. I'm sure Abyss will do something different that we haven't seen before. But I look for Mick to do, just the basic ground and pound hardcore barbed wire.
Yeah.
But he's not flying through tables. He's not flying off a cage or any of that kind of stuff. On Sunday.
But who do you look forward to win that?
You know what? Mick is known for making stars out of people, and he'll make a star out of Abyss and put Abyss over.
And I don't give an answer, by the way, for the match because it doesn't really matter to me. I just want to see a good match out of these two, and I think we're going to.
I would go with Abyss as well, and here's how it does matter. Abyss needs this rub, and everything that has been built up to this matchup has been looking as if that is what is going to happen. And who benefits from Abyss winning this match? TNA Wrestling, because Abyss can go back to being a monster again.
And again, that's what Mick has said he likes doing. He loves TNA right now, and he loves being able to help the guy. So Abyss is his guy right now.
It is MMA versus TNA.
Please don't say that again.
That's what it's being billed as.
Samoa Joe versus Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley, of course, representing mixed martial arts, and Samoa Joe representing total nonstop action wrestling. Dave Hero, your thoughts on this, which will be Bobby Lashley's, I believe, second pay-per-view matchup?
I think Bobby Lashley goes in and gets the easy victory over Samoa Joe.
Which means
that TNA is inferior to MMA.
Also, it means that Joe is worthless, and it crushes Joe.
But here's the thing.
It crushes Joe.
But here's the thing. The MMA fighter should beat the fake wrestler, right?
In the eyes.
Controlled situation.
Okay. Look, in the eyes of a normal fan, not a wrestling fan.
I don't get you.
What do you mean you don't get me?
A normal fan of what?
A normal fan? Just a normal MMA fan. A normal MMA fan.
Just in real life, just anyone that has common sense, you would think that the MMA fighter should beat the wrestler.
To quote episode 1, that match is going to be sucky.
You know what? I think it might be better than we're. Samoa Joe can carry a guy. Bobby Lashley's not terrible.
No.
Not at all.
He's not.
He's an amateur wrestler. Again, and I got slammed the last time I said this. He's an amateur wrestler, which means he has a wrestling background. Doesn't mean that he's a good professional
wrestler. He has
the
same kind of background as a Kurt Angle, not a gold medalist, a Brock Lesnar, a Charlie Haas, a Shelton Benjamin. He's a good amateur collegiate wrestler.
Sure. Knows how to do some holds, some pins.
And I think that it will be a decent match with Joe versus Bobby Lashley. But Bobby Lashley is the guy that's getting paid all the money. He's the guy that Dixie Carter handpicked to bring in.
Meathead, who do you think will win that matchup?
In a squash, it's Bobby Lashley.
Squash?
It's a squash.
Samoa Joe will never get squashed on a pay-per-view.
He's about to get squashed this Sunday on pay-per-view.
He's going to lose in under 5 minutes and not get anything in.
Mark it. Under 5 minutes.
Wow. All right.
Is there more benefit to Samoa Joe actually winning this match to create a story? Because really right now, Bobby Lashley's not involved in any real story aside from what we've seen sort of thrown together between him and Joe.
Dixie's boy.
Honestly, I think this pay-per-view is going to be the end of the Main Event Mafia, and I think they're all going to lose, and they're going to disband the whole group. And right now they have to develop newer TNA stars, and right now
they're doing it.
Bobby Lashley, he's a newer TNA star. He's established, but he's new to TNA.
I, too, will have to go with Bobby Lashley in that matchup, but the question is still out there. Does TNA serve more of a benefit from Joe winning so that we have something for Lashley to do? Because if he does win, and there's ways to build it, of course, but if he does win, I don't think it's I don't think it's as intriguing a story going forward between him and Samoa Joe.
You think Lashley's going to chase AJ Styles?
I think he should. It doesn't make sense, but I think that's what they're going to do. I think he goes for the belt, especially after he crushes Joe.
I think it'll be Lashley and Joe for a couple months.
The TNA Legends Championship will be on the line. Kevin Nash, another three-way matchup, going up against Hernandez and Eric Young. Dave Hero, your thoughts on this matchup?
You know,
I'm about to bury Eric Young here.
No, honestly, I'm going to pick Eric Young. And here's why. The World Elite, they need something. Their leader needs a belt to give them some more legitimacy.
Some street cred?
Absolutely. Kevin Nash doesn't need the Legends title at all.
Well, according to storyline, he does because it's worth extra money at photographs.
Right, but I'm saying he's already over. The fans love him. You know, some hate him, but I think in the end, you know, you're going to see Eric Young somehow getting a quick pinfall on Hernandez, and then those two can feud over the belt for a while because that's where that direction's going. And then Kevin Nash can go on and do something else. Maybe work with Bobby Lashley after Samoa Joe.
All right, Dave Hero picking Eric Young, surprising in that matchup. Meathead, your thoughts?
The definition of the Legends belt, at least when it was brought out, was for Booker T. When he brought it up, he said, I'm a legend. You know, Kevin Nash holding it, Foley holding it, all made sense. AJ, not so much. Eric Young, really not so much. I don't see Nash losing this belt, actually. He doesn't need it, you're right, but I don't see him losing it.
So you think Kevin Nash is going to walk out of Bound for Glory still the Legends champion? I question that that title belt conversation only because it's almost like the $1 Million Championship. Originally, it was just $1 Million Man's, but then it started to get traded around, and
that's where
it didn't make sense.
Dropped.
But it added to the story. And
but that's where its value, not literally financially, but that's where the value of that belt dropped, and then poof, gone.
You know, I don't know in this matchup.
Just agree with me.
That's too easy.
It's the right thing to
I
do.
want to say Hernandez, but then I am stuck by the fact that it is the Legends Championship, and that just really doesn't make any sense unless you're aspiring to be a legend by holding that title. I'm going to go with Hernandez in that matchup. If that's okay with you, Dave.
Hey, it's your show.
Kurt Angle versus Matt Morgan. Kurt Angle, wrestling's greatest or best, versus Matt Morgan, wrestling's future. Meathead, your thoughts?
I actually would pay the pay-per-view price to see this match amongst a couple others. His eyebrows are already moving. I actually have interest in this match. Matt Morgan continues for me to draw my interest. I want to see Morgan go one-on-one with Angle and go a good 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, they better go at least 20.
A good 10, 15 minutes would be enough for Matt Morgan.
And you're picking Matt Morgan?
I'm picking Matt Morgan.
This is a coin flip for me, this match. Matt Morgan needs it more than Kurt Angle. But like I said earlier, I really believe the Mafia is going to disband. Mm-hmm. And I think if they have to all be in disarray for that to happen.
And I see this up at the top of the card too, Dave.
The fact that it is a sub-main, it is one of the two main events they're saying. The fact that there is so much internal conflict amongst us over this matchup should say something.
Yeah, because I just can't pick a winner. I mean,
you can't believe that Kurt Angle has a chance to lose to a guy like Matt Morgan. That's what you're thinking.
If Kurt Angle loses, it's because somebody else helps Matt Morgan win.
Maybe a new star, and
you know what? Maybe
TNA.
Maybe this is where Bobby Lashley gets involved, or something else.
Or maybe a new star in TNA that we've never seen there before.
You know, yeah. I mean, the only way Kurt Angle loses is if it's a screw job finish.
No clean win for Matt Morgan.
No.
Okay.
No.
You're calling Matt Morgan. Say it out loud and say it proud.
You know what? Need to use a lifeline?
Say it loud and say it proud.
You know what? Because the clock it's ticking.
You know what? I'm going to go with Kurt Angle.
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 But not confidently so.
No, not at all.
No,
because it's TNA. You have no idea what direction they're going to go in.
And that's okay. Doesn't that make for interesting pay-per-view?
Yeah, but the whole pay-per-view, you have no idea which way it's going to go.
Are you going to watch pay-per-view as a fan or as a critic?
If I watch the pay-per-view.
He's not a critic. He's an opinionist.
I'm an opinionist. I get paid more for that.
But, I mean, are you going to be critiquing the pay-per-view or enjoying the pay-per-view?
I critique everything.
Okay. You critiquing this lineup that we're doing here?
No, not at all. I love
Okay.
the lineup.
Okay. Damien.
Much like you, David Hero, I don't know what I even want in this matchup. I mean, I'm not sure if I care who wins it. I'm more interested in what happens in the time in which it's given to be performed.
Where does it go from there?
But we've always talked WrestleMania should be the end of and beginning of something
Here's
new.
the thing.
But
if
Bound
Matt
for Glory?
Morgan beats Kurt Angle, then he should be wrestling AJ Styles next month.
You think it's an
Is that gonna
unofficial?
happen?
You think it's an unofficial number one contender?
Yeah, I do.
Fair enough.
If you saw the Before the Glory special on DirecTV, one of the clips in there of Matt Morgan said, "I'm going to kill him."
I respect Kurt now, but I'm going to kill him.
Matt Morgan,
He believes the hype.
That's okay. It's okay.
he was on the radio show a couple of weeks ago. He had a lot of, it was a good
Poignant.
interview. He had a lot of good things to say. I am a fan of Matt Morgan.
Now,
I have been for a very long time.
just not always.
Well, no, I took issue with him climbing over the top rope. That was it. It's the only issue I've ever had with Matt Morgan. We spent a lot of time in this matchup. I just don't know.
Don't be a sissy. Just make an opinion and stick
Oh,
with it.
sissy, like you were in the Abyss McFoley match?
Mick Foley. There you go.
I'm going to go with Matt Morgan.
Good call, by the way. Way to put it back on me.
Next matchup is the tag team Full Metal Mayhem match. All the tag team straps are on the line. The TNA World Tag Team Championships and the IWGP Tag Team Championships. The participants are the British Invasion, the tag team champions of IWGP, the TNA World Tag Team Champions Booker T and Scott Steiner, Beer Money Incorporated, who we'll have in just a few moments on this very program, and Team 3D. Dave Hero.
Dave Hero's about to tell you.
Well, it's going to come down to Beer Money or Team 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Because the IWGP is involved, I'm leaning a little more towards Team 3D.
Because they've spent so much time over there.
Right. But I think I'm going to go with Beer Money, because I don't believe that they're going to put all the belts on the British Invasion.
You're just doing that because they're on the show.
Beer!
That's what they'll think.
Absolutely.
Beer!
Spoiler alert, Booker T's last match is Sunday. He's gone from TNA after that. So they're not going to win.
Really?
So I'm going to have to go with Beer Money.
You have to give a little bit of space between the spoiler alert and then putting the spoiler out there. Give them a chance to stick their fingers in there and hit the mute. This is a spoiler-free show.
They want to hear the
spoiler-free show.
Your thoughts on that matchup, Peter?
Guarantee you that Scott Steiner and Booker T won't be walking away with the belts because they already got it spoiled by Dave.
But it could still have Bret Hart.
I know.
Walked away with the belt.
I know. British Invasion definitely is going to have some sort of gold. I think the TNA gold for them. And then the IWGP, you know what? Why not?
I believe it's winner take all.
Is it winner take all?
You weren't listening?
Paying attention to the product?
It should be
But it
winner
should
take all.
change.
I can't confirm that, but I believe that's the case.
Well, yeah, and that's why I'm going back and forth between 3D and Beer Money.
I think it's Beer Money to be the IWGP if it's split. And then, British Invasion getting the TNA.
All right, and you know what? I think it's Beer Money. I think it's Root and Storm.
Beer!
It's their turn.
The main event, TNA World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Sting will go up against AJ Styles. Obviously, you saw what happened at last month's pay-per-view, and now we go into this matchup, and those two are the men on top of the card carrying Bound for Glory this year. Meathead, your thoughts on who will walk out of that event as the TNA World Heavyweight Champion?
Well, we're going to go in depth momentarily on the man they call Sting, the icon Sting. If it is true that this is really going to be his last big-time match, the last time he's going to wrestle on the West Coast as it was promoted for Bound for Glory, why would he win the belt? Now, will Sting put in the performance, say, that he put in last year with Samoa Joe, which was more than we expected from Sting? Sting did do some amazing things. I mean, Damien and I were there at the show. We saw Sting and Joe work up and down the arena. Joe did some crazy spots. Sting did some stuff that, again, was beyond what Sting should be doing.
Was all that stuff before the match started, right? Up and down in the arena?
No, the bell rang, wasn't it? Or did he?
It was all before the bell, I believe.
Doesn't matter. It was part of the match. Bend the rules of reality. So AJ Styles is going to come out still heavyweight champion of TNA, but we're going to, again, see more out of Sting than we should, if that makes sense.
I have no idea what you just said.
Watch the tape.
Who wins?
I just said we're still going to see AJ Styles, the TNA heavyweight champion. Listen to what I say.
David Hero.
Sting's last match out in California. Not his last match because his contract goes through the end of the year. I think that this has a chance to be the best match Sting has had in the last 10 years. I think AJ Styles is that good.
His head's in it.
To carry him the whole way? Yeah.
I think his head will be in it because all of his family and friends are going to be there. He's going to be determined. He's going to be prepared. He's not
Means something.
He's not going to forget his spots, and he wants to go out in front of all of his family and friends. Wow, that was the stinger. In the end, AJ Styles hand raised, and they're both going to hug in the ring, and
confetti shower.
It will be the official passing of the torch to AJ Styles, and then he'll lose it next month to somebody else.
I, too, go with AJ Styles in this matchup. I think it's going to be a decent match. I think that the way you have laid it out, Dave Hero, makes a lot of sense, but I do think it's going to be AJ Styles winning at this pay-per-view called Bound for Glory coming up this Sunday night from California. We're going to have complete coverage of that pay-per-view, which is obviously this show, which is all dedicated to TNA Bound for Glory. We're going to have a video wrap-up after the pay-per-view Sunday night at pwrshow.com. And also, TNA is doing a little bit extra for this show. They're going to have a pre-show, which is on mycontent.com/TNA. And then they're going to have a post-event press conference featuring some of the stars. And you'll be able to submit questions, actually, for those stars in that post-event press conference. Also on that pre-show, you will see a matchup between the Motor City Machine Guns and Lethal Consequences.
Damn
Jay
shame.
Lethal and Consequences Creed. 9 matches total on this evening, 8 of which will be on the pay-per-view. Dave Hero, your overall thoughts on the card as a whole for Bound for Glory?
In the beginning when I first saw it, I thought it was terrible. And then after I actually watched the product, I watched TNA.
And paid attention to it.
And I paid attention to it. It's actually not that bad. I guess out of all of them, this one obviously has the most variety of different styles of matches, and it should be worth the $40.
Meathead, overall card thoughts?
Like I just said, it's a damn shame that the Motor City Machine Guns are wrestling on the undercard before the pay-per-view. It's a damn shame. Because there should be, again, last year's Bound for Glory, I don't want you to do the same thing every year and start off with a Ultimate X or start off with, what's the red cell called?
The Asylum?
The Asylum, where you've got 10 guys in there, and doing all these crazy spots, and you can't see through half the cage if you're live in the arena. That's not what I'm saying, but I'd like to see the Machine Guns get their due, get their time on the pay-per-view.
But they don't fit. There's nowhere to put them.
I know. You could make another match. Get another match in there somehow. Put them in the X Division thing.
8.
Put them in the X Division
There's
thing.
8 matches.
Anyway.
You know what that means? 8 matches. 3 of those matches are going to get
I've
screwed.
been told that I do all the interrupting here, and I'm giving an opinion, and you're just jumping on my opinion.
I'm the opinionist. 8 matches. in 3 hours, someone's going to get screwed out of time.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, there's no room for them.
Just like I got screwed out of time. Go.
This is where you shut down because you have nothing valid to say.
No, I did
the
have
question
something
that's
valid
out there,
to say.
okay, where do they go on the card?
Meathead is trying to be a different...
Where do they go on the card?
They go in the X Division, number 1 contender match.
And then TNA gets accused again of over-gimmicking.
Because they add 2 more guys in there?
Well,
that doesn't over-gimmick
They've
it.
been accused of just throwing everybody on the pay-per-view. They've done a good job this month of not falling into that habit.
There's a ton of guys that aren't on the pay-per-view. Where's Daniels?
He's in there.
In the Ultimate
Is he
X.
in the Ultimate X, the
match.
number 1 contenders match? Where's Shark Boy? How come
He's on
not
house
there?
shows. He'll be in Racine next Saturday.
Yeah. My point being, before I was rudely interrupted by Meathead number 2,
That's an insult.
That
is
hurts.
the fact that, you know what, Dave is right. it's balanced up and down. You got this match, probably followed by this match, and there's going to be an ebb and flow all night long. Mike Tenay and Taz are going to call, an amazing pay-per-view. It's going to be worth the half price that I pay at my house because, well, that's how I roll. But I'll be watching it. Unfortunately, it won't be in high definition.
And Versus this week features Kurt Angle, actually, in a fantasy matchup submitted by a PWR viewer by the name of Richard Boudreau. Thank you very much for that. He wants to see the fantasy match discussed, Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle. Let's go ahead and go to the tail of the tape. Bret Hart, 6'1", 234 pounds at his peak, from Calgary,
Alberta,
Canada. Finishing move, the sharpshooter, up against Kurt Angle, the Olympic gold medalist, 6'0", 240 pounds, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Two major moves, the angle slam and the ankle lock. Dave Hero, this actually would be a hell of a matchup.
It'd be an awesome,
I'm not sure we ever saw it.
It'd be an awesome Iron Man match.
Oh, wow. That would be beautiful.
But to be quite honest, there isn't anyone alive that can beat Kurt Angle in wrestling.
Pure wrestling.
I think Kurt Angle would be a hell of a match. It'd be a great match. I just think that Bret Hart would get frustrated with how good Kurt really is.
And then fake a leg injury?
Or something. But, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Kurt Angle coming on top on the best there is, best there was, and best there ever will be.
That match would put asses in the seats.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think they may have faced each other on a TV show or something because there was a 1 year time where they were in the company together. Because Kurt Angle started in WWE in '96, I believe, and then Bret went to WCW.
I think they both missed each other. I mean, they're both in at the same time, but
they
Bret
never
was leaving
never
as
hooked
Kurt
up
was coming
once
in.
because if you listen to Kurt Angle's interviews, he said Bret Hart's interviews, who would you wrestle if you could wrestle today? First name, boom, I'd wrestle Kurt Angle. Because, again, Kurt Angle is the best in the business right now as far as being a wrestler.
You would like to see that as an Iron Man match. Who do you think would win?
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle. Meathead, your thoughts on that fantasy matchup versus?
I'm going to build off of what Dave Octavius Hero said as far as Bret Hart getting frustrated. That's where I jump in and say that's where Bret Hart becomes heel, goes for the chair, does the sharpshooter on the ring post. I mean, that's where heel Bret Hart comes out right there. I'm going to take what you were saying and just add on to it. And you're right. Kurt Angle, I think, reverse after reverse after reverse. The fans are on their feet watching this match. And as an Iron Man match, I think it's 1-0 Kurt Angle at the 60-minute mark.
Maybe there could be an extra 5 minutes and Bret Hart can allege that he was screwed.
5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Your disdain for Bret Hart still seeps right into the camera.
He's pure evil. He's a great performer, great wrestler, one of the best ever. He's pure evil.
He was agitated.
I'd have to go with Kurt Angle by a mile in this one. Just when you look at the big-time matches Kurt Angle was in, comparatively speaking to the big-time matches Bret Hart was in, because for most of his career, he was not in the main event. I think Kurt Angle is a clear forerunner in this particular situation.
Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels was amazing. You know? Kurt Angle, Hulk Hogan was okay. It was passable. Kurt Angle, Triple H. Kurt Angle, he's worked Steve Austin, The Rock.
He's worked Undertaker
Jericho.
as well.
Yeah, he's worked everybody. So has Bret Hart.
An amazing match also was Kurt Angle, Jericho, Benoit, the three-way where they were going up with the European and Intercontinental belt. I believe it was WrestleMania X8 or X7.
Send us your ideas for the Versus segment to comments at pwrshow.com, comments at pwrshow.com. 1 star from now, 1 star from then, and we will discuss it here on this program.
On October 18th, it's TNA Wrestling's biggest event ever, Bound for Glory, live at the Brent Center. Kurt Angle, Matt Morgan, the best versus the future. Abyss, Mick Foley, Hardcore Extreme, Samoa Joe, Bobby Lashley, MMA versus TNA. Plus, The Icon versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. Will this be Sting's last match in TNA? TNA Bound for Glory weekend in Irvine, California. Don't miss fan interaction on Saturday, October 17th, and the live pay-per-view this Sunday at the Brent Center.
Star of the week.
Star of the week.
The stars of the week, actually, this week. We're not going to pick Star of the week. Well, I'm going to pick Star of the week. I'm going to give it to Beer Money, simply so that we can throw to this very special clip and special interview, courtesy of TNA Wrestling. Beer Money Incorporated, talking a little bit about Bound for Glory and
Beer!
Coming up to Wisconsin next weekend. Let's go right to it.
This is SoCal Val for TNA Wrestling. Damian, thanks for having me on. I am here with Beer Money, Robert Roode, and James Storm. Now, Robert Roode, Beer Money Inc. has become one of the most popular tag teams in wrestling. Did you think that when you were paired with James Storm, that you'd become so popular?
At the beginning, we didn't really. Don't look at me like that. At the beginning, we really didn't know what to expect. It was just going to be a short-term thing, and then we developed Beer Money, and then it's kind of skyrocketed from there. We've meshed really well together. Our chemistry is great, and we've surprised everybody, including ourselves. It's been great.
All right, well, James Storm, tag teams have seen a resurgence in the last 6 to 8 months in TNA, and what are some of your other favorite tag teams from your vantage point?
You definitely have to say Team 3D, who's been around since Jesus. And then, you have the British Invasion, who I hate to admit, but they're actually coming along pretty good. But they're still no Beard Money. We are considered the greatest tag team in wrestling today.
All right, now, Robert Roode, many others, such as Kevin Nash, Kurt Angle, and Mick Foley, have said that you two are some of the talents that are the future of the business. So does this put any additional pressure on you two when you're in the ring? And how do you feel about getting such high marks from these talents?
It's an honor. I mean, especially coming from those three guys, and we don't think we get any more added pressure. We just go out and do what we do best, and that's just perform and entertain the fans, and we can want to continue to do that for some time to come.
Right now, Beer Money has a huge role in the upcoming Bound for Glory pay-per-view. So what are your thoughts and what pops into your head when you think of TNA's premier event pay-per-view, Bound for Glory?
It's all or nothing. It's one of those pay-per-views where you put everything on the line and you hold nothing back. If you get injured, it's no big deal, because this is where everyone lays it on the line.
That's right. Now, TNA Wrestling is coming to Racine, Wisconsin on Saturday, October 24th for the first live event in the area. So describe the TNA live event experience.
There's no other experience like it. I mean, you can go to any other wrestling promotion in the world, but TNA puts on the greatest wrestling show in the world. You can watch it on TV on Spike every week, but until you experience it live, you're missing out. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's right. Thank you, Damian, and thank you guys, Beer Money.
BAM!
Ow.
See?
Scary.
Never know what to expect.
Guess so.
Thank you very much, TNA Wrestling, for that interview. First time both those guys that are appearing on this show, Beer Money Incorporated.
How do you pull this off? How do you get that kind of stuff?
Because he's told them that he likes their catering.
Who do you know?
Wants to buy a car? Ernie Bunch later on.
Main Street in Menominee Falls, but that's a little...
2009 Pro Wrestling Report honors the voting again. New categories announced yesterday at pwrshow.com. Match of the Year and Breakout Star of the Year. So send those two honors spelled either way, domestically or internationally.
Hogan versus Warrior.
pwrshow.com. That match didn't happen in 2009.
I just played it. SmackDown. Legends of Wrestling.
An actual match that occurred between two physical living human beings on a television show. And this is where you guys have the opportunity to submit your nominations for Match of the Year or Breakout Star of the Year. And thank you to all of you who submitted those nominations for Pay-Per-View of the Year. And keep in mind, Bound for Glory and Survivor Series are automatically entered into that due to timing.
And bragging rights.
Is not entered into that due to timing. That had the opportunity to be nominated.
Oh, I thought you said Bound for Glory and Survivor Series.
I did.
But not bragging rights?
No. Survivor Series being a major pay-per-view should qualify.
Okay.
Bound for Glory being a major pay-per-view should qualify.
Okay. Don't get hot about it.
Last week, or this past Tuesday actually, Terry Runnels was our guest on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. Great interview, Terry. Very good guest. And
she loves me.
And following the gimmick, apparently, of drinking the red wine while being on the program.
It's now a requirement for our guests. Thank you very much for that. If you have not seen or listened to that show, feel free to do so at pwrshow.com or subscribe on iTunes. The free podcast, both video and audio podcasts, are available at the Pro Wrestling Report. We are the top wrestling radio show, the number one wrestling radio show, pro wrestling radio show, rather, on iTunes.
So Vinnie Mac hasn't pulled down that interview yet off of YouTube on us?
Not that I am aware of. WWE.
He's been doing that lately.
They're very interested in our product as of late. I'm going to leave it at that. You can go to pwrshow.com.
Do they pay attention to the product?
To hear all about that. They pay too much attention
I think
to
it's
our
your
product.
fault.
It's not at all.
I don't know.
Don't try to cast that shadow on me.
There's been rumors.
There's also been talk that since you've been here, we've been in trouble. So, I mean, call it a spade a
If
spade.
it's anybody's fault, it's our fault for welcoming Ken Anderson onto the program to speak.
And he's still welcome.
Clearly and speak candidly about what was going on in the business. And
Let's say what it was. He blew up the bridges, is what he did. It was more than candid. He blew them up.
And doesn't regret it to this day.
No, not at all.
And unfortunately, some
There's
people
been rumors that they've thought about bringing him back to the SmackDown brand.
And he'd never do it.
I doubt it. Because they need more help on SmackDown.
Wow.
They're going kid-friendly. They need more stars down there.
Speaking of stars, it's time to go in-depth. And with Bound for Glory coming up this Sunday on pay-per-view, today's superstar is the icon, Sting.
Not a legend. He's an icon?
He's an icon.
Okay. Just making sure.
It is smart, by the way, that TNA is plugging this as will it be Sting's curtain call final match. Same thing WWE did at WrestleMania 8 when it was sold as Hogan's last match ever. But they did it as a question, which meant he could come back after that, and he did. Sting, born on March 20th of 1959.
Yamahama, that's a long time ago.
Of course, known by Sting, his name is Steve Borden, as we said. He's been in WCW and TNA, never spent a moment's time in World Wrestling Entertainment, though. And many people still speculate that he will actually end his career in WWE, and WWE has been very Sting-friendly. I don't think they've ever shown him in a negative light, and I think that door is very open for at least a Hall of Fame induction if WWE can figure out a way they can benefit from it, quite frankly.
And make money from it.
He's
Not that we're slamming the E on that at all, but it's got to be made clear.
Well, it's real simple. If they have a WrestleMania in Atlanta, then that's when the Hall of Fame is going to be. That's where they put Sting in.
6-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion, 2-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, 2-time WCW International World Heavyweight Champion, and a 2-time TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Also had the World Wrestling Association, or Alliance rather, Heavyweight Championship. He spent a lot of time in WCW really becoming the star. His series with Ric Flair back in the late 80s, early 90s, really put him on the map, I believe.
Clash of Champions versus Ric Flair.
Absolutely. And Sting
Where
can
Sting
go.
finally went over.
Sting can wrestle. Sting can go. Sting was, he truly was, for a time there, the face of WCW. I mean, the good guy of WCW. He was the one they relied on. And I think that came to an abrupt halt, though, once Hulk Hogan came to town.
Well, I mean, no matter who is your top guy, Hulk Hogan comes in, they're going to take a back seat.
And they should.
Ric Flair
Reciprocal benefits.
You know.
Which made it great, though, once Hogan became Hulk Hogan, became the ultra bad guy. Then it opened up the door for a savior Sting to come again and be the top baby.
You know what, though? But as great
We're
as,
talking about the end of 97.
as great as
90s.
Sting was, I think most wrestling fans and even the boys in the back were very disappointed with his match with Hogan at Starrcade.
Starrcade 97
They
when
kept
Brett
him
as the
off
special
TV for
enforcer.
so long,
Mhm.
where he comes back, he's not in Sting shape.
Right.
You know, I mean, and I've said this
And that
before,
match was billed huge.
get a spray tan. You know, you have all those bright lights on you. You know, you got to look good in the ring. And, yeah, it was a major disappointment. And notice how quickly they left Sting behind and went in a different direction after that.
Will this be? Obviously, Sting in his last days in professional wrestling by his own admission. And rumor is that he's going to be with TNA through the end of the year, if not a little bit longer. What will be Sting's indelible etch in the annals of time?
Blade Runners with Ultimate Warrior.
The Dingo Warrior at
The
the
Dingo
time.
Warrior, yeah.
The
Sting,
Dingo
How people don't know
ate your
that? That's how Sting got
baby.
his
he was
start,
called
actually.
Rock and
Yeah.
Sting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's his matches with Ric Flair that is what most people will know him by.
Older fans will know him by. The younger fans will know him as being the person to
Pro.
battle against the NWO. That's what the younger fans will know him. We're talking the 20s, and 30s-year-old fans. That's what they're going to know Sting as. The guy that went head-to-head with Hulk Hogan and battled the NWO.
I think Sting versus the Four Horsemen is
He
as
was
good
a
as
horseman briefly, wasn't
right, but is as good as it gets for Sting. In general, if you want to go back, go on YouTube, get the DVD. Sting versus any Ric Flair faction was always high emotion and great TV.
Sting's a very deep character as well, because you see even nowadays he goes back to the wooing sometimes, still doing the crow thing, I mean, he just takes all those little pieces of it, almost like The Undertaker. He's been around for so long and been working generally the same type gimmick that you've got all these little aspects of it that he continues to pull from, which I do appreciate as a fan.
Who do you think is a bigger star, Taker or Sting?
Undertaker by far.
That's the versus we should be doing, because that has never happened. The Undertaker of WWEF versus Sting.
Well, as far as overall who's a bigger star, Undertaker by far.
But Sting was the biggest star for quite a while. I mean, it's
in
interesting.
WCW.
Right.
Yeah, but when was Taker the number one star in WWF?
He hasn't been since the late 90s, the mid-90s.
He hasn't been the number one
He's
star.
been consistently top 3.
Top 3, but not number 1.
Oh, he could
But
be
he's
number
also
one.
a big fish in a big pond, whereas Sting, you could say, was the big fish in a smaller pond.
The Undertaker has maintained popularity as one of the top stars in the wrestling
That's
business.
not what I said. I mean, I'm agreeing with you that he's
since
the top.
mid-90s.
But I said, when has he been the guy, the face?
Whenever, well,
Anytime he's around.
He's always been one of their top 3 guys. That could be number 1, 2, or 3, or 2 or 3 or 1. It doesn't
Sting
matter.
hasn't.
You know, what
I'm not arguing the point.
What
It's
what
Undertaker.
hurt Sting was it was Hogan, Flair,
Right.
NWO. You know, there was always those 3,
Mhm.
and Sting was always right around there. But and then you bring in Bret Hart, and then you bring then you have Kurt Hennig and
Even
WCW,
Goldberg pulled away from
Goldberg,
Sting.
absolutely. Diamond Dallas Page,
Mhm.
so many different
Jeff
people
Jarrett.
came in.
I mean, all of those guys. Scott Steiner pulled away from him.
I think that's what hurt Sting is at times he just fell to the back.
Yeah. And I agree that Undertaker is a bigger star than Sting, by far. I'm just arguing the point that Undertaker's never really been the top face. He's been right there. He's been, if it's a group of 3, he's been in that 3.
TNA Bound for Glory this Sunday night live on pay-per-view. And you can go ahead and figure out how you need to watch that program. And we want to hear your thoughts on TNA Bound for Glory, so feel free to send those over to us via comments at pwrshow.com. We'll discuss them in-depthly coming up on next week's episode full show. For the cause and the man they call Meathead.
This is Dave Hero.
And David Hero. This is Damian Nelson saying thank you for tuning in to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime. We'll see you Sunday night after TNA's Bound for Glory on pay-per-view.
On October 18th, it's TNA Wrestling's biggest event ever. Bound for Glory, live at the Brent Center. Kurt Angle, Matt Morgan, the best versus the future. Abyss, Mick Foley, Hardcore Extreme, Samoa Joe, Bobby Lashley, MMA versus TNA. Plus, The Icon versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. Will this be Sting's last match in TNA? TNA Bound for Glory weekend in Irvine, California. Don't miss fan interaction on Saturday, October 17th, and the live pay-per-view this Sunday at the Brent Center.
Well, Bound for Glory is our biggest event of the year, period. And 2009 is the biggest year we've ever had as a company. We combine both of those, and naturally, it is going to be, I can promise you, the biggest event in TNA's history. When you look at the Kurt Angle versus Matt Morgan match, it really is wrestling's best versus wrestling's future. And I think it's going to be one of the best matches that Matt Morgan has ever shown in his career. And he's really going to test Kurt. Matt's future is very, very bright. He's the whole package, so this one will be an interesting matchup. Mick Foley is the hardcore legend of all time. He's just, no one can touch him when it comes to that. Abyss has always held him in such high esteem throughout his career. So he's going in there with these big wide eyes going against somebody he has just always looked up to so much. But Abyss has really taken what Mick has done so beautifully in his career and taken it to another level in many ways. So again, this is an interesting matchup. And for those who like hardcore, I don't know if it gets any better than these two in the ring at once. With Bobby, we look to make history. I mean, we really, at some point, hope that he is the MMA heavyweight champion of the world and is also the TNA world champion. So he is a force to be reckoned with, not just within TNA, but within MMA. And it's going to be interesting to follow his career in the coming months and years, because if he succeeds and if he wins, it'll be something no one else has ever done. Regarding Samoa Joe, who you would call a TNA original and the professional wrestler versus this MMA slash wrestler hybrid, you know, what's unusual here is that Joe trains in a variety of different MMA styles. So he's not just a wrestler, he will be able, I think, to go toe-to-toe with Bobby, and I don't know if Bobby's expecting that or not. You know, every year, you know, Sting tells me, or I convince him one more time, one more year. And this time I really don't know if it's it, honestly. It's going to be an incredibly emotional night for him. How will that play into wrestling? AJ Styles, somebody who I know he has tremendous respect for, but Sting is the icon, and there will never be another Sting. I think because AJ is so phenomenal in the ring. When you think of TNA, to me, there's nobody else on the roster you think of more than AJ Styles. Taking wrestling to another level that's never been seen before. He will go down as one of the greatest in history. For Bound for Glory, we've spent so much time making sure that this is a memorable pay-per-view that people will not want to miss. And combine that with the surprises that they might see, it's going to be our most talked about pay-per-view.